Hey internet, welcome to Zesty Narratives, where I watch the films that you should avoid, summarize them into Zesty Narratives, so you don't have to watch them. Today we're adding some zest to Suicide Squad, the non-extended version because I learned my lesson. The film opens with a swanky House of the Rising Sun song video, before we get our first glimpse of Will Smith trying desperately to hide his regret for accepting this role. Principal Lankenstein shows off his robust 1980s porn stash, the Fresh Prince ain't having it, so he's beaten and then electrocuted. Harley is introduced next, she gives herself a head rush, then tetanus. Principal Lankenstein tries to show off his robust stash once more, but Harley is just as disinterested as the Fresh Prince. Principal Lankenstein is shocked, and then so is Harley.
Something funny? No, there's not, Chief. Okay, if there's not something funny, then what are you laughing at?
We're treated to more songs found on every 15-year-old's oldies playlist on Google before we suddenly find ourselves in Washington, D.C. and a dinner date that is surely just nausea-inducing enough to make you forget all about that Martha nonsense in the previous DC film. We spend some time watching Amanda Waller chomp down some steak and painstakingly introduce us to each and every single character in the movie via video game introduction. We think we're about to be treated to the first live-action Joker since Heath Ledger's iconic clown prince of crime in The Dark Knight, then get confused when we are presented with a pale Post Malone tatted Jim Carrey instead.
To this handsome hunka.
We get more character introductions, we see a tatted Magnum PI, are gifted some sudden Jai Courtney, then more character introductions, as we bear witness to a killer croc that looks worse than the Goombas from the failed 1993 Super Mario Bros. Film. Luckily, Cara Delevingne then shows up to soothe my soul, before a character raids some tombs and breaks some ancient statues in half as every good archaeologist does. We're back to Amanda Waller's boring dinner date, she explains to the audience how one might go about throwing out a hole, then we're off to yet another meeting. Enchantress shows up to show off her powers, which makes me wonder why any other members of the Suicide Squad are even needed, before we're quickly scuttled off for more scenes that I could not possibly care less about. The film gives us more popular songs over character introductions, we get some sudden Joker laugh crying just to piss me off even more, and some epic shots of Rick Flag chomping on a chicken bone. Enchantress scurries off to possess a poor subway pedestrian, then returns to the now chicken boneless Rick Flag, and I jam my fingers so far into the next scene button that I nearly broke my DVD player. The possessed man from earlier starts to stumble, sprouts tentacles, then transforms into Goldar from the Power Ranger. We cut to another war room where more people shout more nonsense, hear another popular song, while our Suicide Squad finally gets assembled. The film rapidly cuts between so many goddamn characters that I'm given a headache, and stand 100% convinced that the film's writers have the attention span of a 12-year-old with ADHD. Enchantress flees Rick Flag's side, finds Goldar, who is promptly turned into Rita Repulsa, and I suddenly realize the entire script is just a repurposed early draft of the 2016 Power Rangers.
Magic wand! Make my Goldar grow!
Enchantress Repulsa pulls out some parallax from the pavement, and 10 guesses what happens next. If you guess Blue Skybeam, you win absolutely nothing. A film that's hell-bent on over-introducing every single character introduces Slipknot via name and one-line explanation, then does the same for Katana because this film cares just about as much as I do at this point. Our Suicide Squad flies off to save the day, and I can't help but wonder where the remainder of the Justice League is while the city literally crumbles to the ground. More cliches are spouted, a helicopter gruesomely crashes, but don't worry, no one got hurt, somehow. Heads explode, and Scott Eastwood thanks his lucky stars that he's the son of Hollywood royalty when his acting is somehow more wooden than the log burning in my fireplace, even as a glorified extra. The Suicide Squad moves in closer to the building Goldar and Rita are camped out in, and are faced with some putties to only further validate my hypothesis that this film indeed is an early draft of the Power Rangers. Shots are fired, asses are kicked, things explode, soldiers die, Jai Courtneys, and then we move on. There's a whole thing with Amanda Waller in another building that I didn't pay attention to. Joker shows up at one point, but that's honestly all I can tell you as I'm barely paying attention. Good thing for me though, as the entire section I skipped had no bearing on the plot whatsoever, and I was wise to skip it over. There's a final showdown with Goldar, Rita, and the Suicide Squad that involves some self-sacrifice, dim lighting, choppy editing, and a wacky inflatable flailing arm waving Cara Delevingne that proves that there is no god. The film wraps up on more popular music, because why the hell not at this point?
All music is important, Dick. It's the universal language. One of our best hopes for the eventual realization of the brotherhood of man.
While each character gets a tiny, hey, we'll see you again in the next one scene. And I pray to sweet baby Jesus that there won't be another one of these films. Oh, for the love of...